Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 4 Episode 9 entitled Rubicon. This kind of episode felt like a real return to the sort of more like a next generation episode. We kind of got all of our bridge crew involved, which is kind of rare. It felt like a real ensemble cast episode. And I think that really worked in its favour this week. I quite enjoyed this episode. It definitely felt like sort of getting back to that sort of more classic Star Trek storytelling style. It was great to see all of our bridge crew got something to do. Characters that generally speaking, don't have a lot to do. We saw Bryce and we saw Reese and we saw O and Detmer and Linus and Nilsson, and everybody had something to do in this episode. So it really, to me, felt a lot more like your traditional Star Trek style storytelling where the bridge crew and the ensemble cast kind of reigns supreme, which doesn't tend to happen too often in Discovery. So that was really good, I thought. Guys, if you're new to Sci-Finatics or you're a regular viewer that hasn't subscribed yet, please go ahead, click on that big red subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, tells the YouTube algorithm that people are interested in my content, helps drive the views. So I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, you do so. That would be much appreciated. And let's get into this week's review on episode 9, Rubicon. So the episode starts with Book and Taka assembling the weapon. You can sort of tell there's sort of a little bit of tenseness between these two. They're not all completely chummy. There is a degree of tension, and even though they're both trying to do the same thing, they're kind of slightly coming at it from different directions. And with Book's message that Saru and Burnham observe, you can kind of tell that he's leading everything down a very dark path, and Saru and Burnham are ultimately going to have to get pretty serious with Book here to deal with him. Shortly thereafter, we see the introduction of Commander Nhan. It's great to have Commander Nhan back. Vance brings her in as a special security advisor in terms of somebody who can basically make the tough call. If Burnham kind of chickens out and essentially doesn't want to, make the hard decisions, i.e. blowing up Book's ship, that Nhan will be the one to say, blow it up now, stop being a softie to Burnham. Because let's face it, that's going to happen, because I think going by past experience, Burnham generally wants to kind of save everybody, and as we know, we can't always save everybody. We can't always all win, and I think it's very smart of Vance, as Burnham herself pointed out, to assign Nhan to basically be there to pull the proverbial pin if she needs to. So great to see Commander Nhan back in this episode. We had a nice little chat between Saru and Tarina in Saru's quarters, which I always enjoy looking at Saru's quarters. Always full of plant life, and they're very pretty, all the floral arrangements and stuff he's got going on. He must have the best quarters on the ship, I reckon. But yeah, it was good to see Tarina and Saru, it's sort of progressing, the relationship's growing. Tarina's offering herself to kind of, help if he needs sort of guidance and emotional support and all that sort of stuff. And Saru kind of seems a bit taken aback. This relationship is certainly progressing, albeit slowly. It's definitely getting there, and it's kind of fun to watch. I guess the awkwardness between Saru, I think Tarina seems pretty chill about it, but I think Saru's perhaps a little bit overwhelmed. I don't think romantic relationships are kind of his forte, so it's all a bit new for him, and he's enjoying it somewhat, even if it is in a shy kind of way. Good to see all the bridge crew welcoming Nhan back. Everybody's there. It's good to see the ensemble there. We've got, pretty much all our regular bridge crew all in attendance, which is great. Everybody seems to have something to do this episode, which is even better. And we see that the Discovery has got a cloaking device. I'm not sure whether we've seen the cloaking device before on the Discovery. It must have been one of these new 32nd century upgrades that it has. I don't recall them mentioning in a previous episode, hey, we've suddenly got a cloaking device all of a sudden, but I guess that makes sense. Next, we get the mission that how they're going to board Book's ship to capture Book and Taka, and it's good to see that Saru is heading up the away team. Now that we've got both Captain Saru and Captain Burnham, we've got this weird dynamic going on because we've got Saru having been the captain, Burnham's the captain now, and we sort of just don't want Saru standing at a console pushing buttons. We want him to see some action, and let's face it, in the past, Burnham tends to do a lot of the away team leading. I think she likes to get a bit hands-on and a bit kind of control freaky, a little bit like Kirk used to do back in original series, where he just had to friggin' rule everything. He had to rule the bridge, he had to rule every away mission. And I think Burnham's a little bit like that. So it was good to see her pass the reins to Saru and let him head up the shuttle away mission, where we get Bryce and Reese on the shuttle mission with them. Again, great to see our other bridge characters getting something to do in this episode. I'm always saying we sort of need to learn a bit more about these guys and give these guys more screen time. I think that's great. I think it's brilliant that we're getting more development from these characters. We not only saw Bryce and Reese, we got a bit from Nilsson, we got a bit from Linus in this episode. I really hope that it continues and we get to know these characters even more so. And we also get to learn that Taka has done some upgrading of the security protocols on Book's ship, which he hasn't told Book about. Some sort of programmable matter defense system that encompasses the shuttle. The hull is being dissolved or whatever by the programmable matter. And I kind of get the impression that Book's not particularly happy that Taka just suddenly is tinkering around with his ship and adding things without him being aware of it. And before long, we find out about Nahn's last-ditch plan, which is essentially to launch a photon torpedo at a particular part of Book's ship, that if it hits this, it causes a chain reaction, blah, 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 and it blows up his ship. We always knew it was going to come to this, but basically we pretty much know that Burnham doesn't have the guts to snuff out Book's life because she's too close to the situation. So that's the whole reason Nahn's there, because she needs to make the tough calls when Burnham can't do it, which, you know, we knew was going to be a problem from the get-go. We also see that the tensions are certainly rising between Taka and Book in this episode. They're not quite so chummy as they have been in the past. I think with every episode that goes by, these guys are kind of getting on each other's nerves a bit. I think it's going to get to a boiling point in future episodes where they just aren't quite on the same page that they once were on. Now, with a bit of cat and mouse game going on in this episode, where we're hiding in nebulas and stuff, and they're jumping in and out with the spore drive to block the path to the DMA controller and all that sort of thing. It was sort of a little bit almost like the Star Trek II Wrath of Khan, where the Reliant and the Enterprise were kind of playing cat and mouse a bit in the nebula there. Sort of aspects reminded me of that, which was kind of fun. But it seemed like no matter what Book did to fire on the Discovery, Burnham just still didn't want to kind of shoot back. She was a bit hesitant to engage in full-on combat with him, beyond just sort of a few little pecks, just to kind of help to sort of, you know, shoo him away, but he clearly wasn't taking the message. Ultimately, we kind of knew it was going to take a sort of a bit more face-to-face contact between Book and Burnham to kind of get through to him a little bit more. It was quite tense there for a moment where we actually thought, she's going to have to do it. She's going to have to blow them up. And there's just a long delay, and you think, well, okay, Nahn's got to push the kill switch on this one. It's going to happen. But obviously Stamets came through at the very last second, where he kind of got the information they needed about the time frame of the DMA, and they knew it was going to stay in that system for a week without putting any other planets in jeopardy. And Burnham was able to use this as a bit of a bargaining chip to get Book to back down, even though it kind of didn't really do any good, because let's face it, Taka is such a massive control freak and he doesn't like to lose. He likes to get his own way all the time. He pushed the button anyway. Okay, well, yeah, I wouldn't have let that dude stand anywhere near a console. It was clear he was going to do that. And it's like, dude, stand away from that console, because I just don't trust you not to push the button to launch the DMA killing weapon. I think if anybody thought that Taka was ever going to do what he was told, or ever going to listen to anybody apart from drive his own agenda, I think they were all dreaming. So I'm not at all surprised that he just completely ignored the plan to give it a week. He just basically said, screw this, and pressed the button and destroyed the DMA controller. Not that it did any good, because it would seem that the DMA is powered from somewhere outside the galactic barrier. So destroying the controller seemed to have no effect whatsoever, because even though the DMA was destroyed, Species 10C basically just pressed a button and created a new one all over again. So that seemed to have absolutely Zero effect whatsoever. Taka's not as smart as he thought he was. I love the scene at the end here with Saru kind of getting some relationship advice from Culber, acting like a sort of awkward teenager, I suppose, with with a crush. It's like, Tarina's asked me out. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to behave. She likes me, but I liked her. Like, I'll pass her a note in class. It was a really cute scene, and I think also Dr. Culber's candor, blatant bluntness, I think was kind of fun. And just to see sort of Saru act that playfulness, I suppose, new love and awkwardness, I think was very cute coming from Saru. So it will be interesting to see where we go from here, because even though they've destroyed the DMA controller, it would seem like Species 10C can pretty much just, you blew that one up, all right, here we go, just press the button, here's a whole new one all over again. So yeah, I don't see them getting any boromite or anything anytime soon. They kind of, used up their supply of that. These guys are pretty powerful, it would seem, the fact that they can just, just start up a new DMA whenever they like. It's no sweat off their brow to have it destroyed. They just, it got destroyed, just make another one. Who cares? Off we go. No big deal. The Discovery and the Federation has definitely got their work cut out for them in terms of how they're going to deal with the new DMA and Species 10C. They're clearly so powerful that they're probably barely even conscious of the Federation and all of the species living in the Alpha, Beta, Gamma and Delta quadrants. I think they just go about their business as much as we do, and we see a line of ants on the ground walking along doing their thing. We sort of, yep, there's some ants, but they mean nothing to us and they're the whole world or whatever. So I think it's probably something similar with with Species 10C, that they're just so advanced and so huge that I think the goings on of various different species in the Federation is probably inconsequential for them. Guys, let me know what your thoughts were on episode 9, Rubicon of Star Trek Discovery Season 4. Leave your thoughts in the comments section. As always, please leave a super thanks if you're able to. It really helps the channel out. Much appreciated, guys. And share this video with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And please check out my merch in the merch store, where you can pick up some really cool Star Trek flavoured t-shirts, such as this one, hoodies, cups, mugs, hats, sweatshirts, you name it, it's all there. And I'll be back very soon for my next video. I'll catch you guys soon.